Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Aesthetics Expert Panel. I'm Dan Adisha, your host for tonight's session, Profitability Beyond Treatments, Maximizing Ancillary Revenue in Aesthetics. At Business of Aesthetics, our mission is simple. Your success matters. We're dedicated to providing practice owners with the expert insights needed to thrive, and tonight is all about that action. So, whether you're joining in from your practice, your home, or your phone, thank you for investing this hour in your growth. Tonight, we're going to go beyond injectables and lasers and talk about profitable strategies that can scale. So, the conversation we're having tonight does not have to end in an hour. It continues every week on the Business of Aesthetics podcast. Our mission is simple to bring you actionable strategies and business insights from industry experts to bridge the gap between aesthetics and management. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Just search for Business of Aesthetics podcast wherever you listen and be sure to subscribe. Here's something every practice owner needs to start thinking about seriously. The way patients find you online is changing fast. Traditional SEO, paid ads used to guarantee visibility. But today, AI-driven tools like ChatGPT, Google's AI Overview, and voice assistants are giving patients answers directly, skipping your website entirely. That means the old model of just ranking on Google is breaking. So the real question becomes, how do you make sure your practice is still the one that patients trust and choose? The answer lies in becoming the authority AI recognizes. Build expert-driven content, earn digital trust, make every piece of your online presence reinforce your credibility. In this new world, success isn't about being found, it's about being recommended by AI. So stay with us until the end because we've got something special for you, a tool that can help you elevate your practice's entire online footprint. With that being said, let's get to know our experts. First off, we have Rachel Lazinia, licensed esthetician and founder of Blue Water Spa. Rachel has spent over 2 decades elevating skincare into a science meets luxury experience. She's built a brand where education, innovation, and elegance meet. Tonight, she'll show us how retail and team culture can transform profitability. Rachel, wonderful to have you with us this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. And next up, we are joined by Michelle Sterniczuk, FNPC, Advanced Aesthetic Nurse Practitioner at Body Tonic. Michelle is here with nearly 2 decades in clinical and aesthetic medicine. Michelle brings a holistic lens, combining peptide therapy, hormone optimization, and medical weight loss to create long-term results and lasting patient relationships. Michelle, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Let's go. So the main points for tonight's discussion will be around how to boost your profits through retail and skincare products that extend your treatment outcomes, how to integrate wellness and add-on services to increase per visit value, and last but not least, how to build partnerships that expand your reach and patient base. So with that being said, I would like to take a moment to get to know you, our audience members. If you can find the chat box here below and let us know just where you're tuning in from and perhaps what's your role in your practice. That would be really cool to find out because, yeah, this is a two-way conversation and we're going to be here together. So let us know where you're tuning in from. Just find the chat box and drop where you're coming from. Seems might be having a bit of a shy audience perhaps, but yeah. During the discussion, feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A section and ask your questions away or ask for any clarifications, elaborations, whatsoever that you feel is necessary to bring in more value. Right. With that being said, Rachel, you're first up. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay, superb. So Rachel, you often discuss retail as a continuation of the treatment room. How do you train your team and clients to see skincare retail as part of the results journey rather than just a sale?
I think so much of being an esthetician is treating the skin as it is and then taking it to the next level and doing home care. And sometimes I feel estheticians focus too much on education. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about education, but they try to explain skincare in a way that clients don't understand. And I think that so much of sales is storytelling. And as I'm working on a client, I'm also narrating exactly what I'm doing and why. And I break it down into a way that clients can understand. You know, if I'm talking to them about peptides or I'm talking to them about growth factors, I kind of give them analogies to give them some sort of insight, like saying, oh, this is going to, thicken up your skin. And instead of saying, oh, this is going to produce, X, Y, and Z, I think that, clients don't need to know all of the technical stuff. They just need to understand why they need it. And, I narrate everything that I'm doing. Okay, now I'm applying this, and the reason why I'm doing this is because it does this. And towards the end of the facial, usually I'll recap exactly what I've done, why I've done it, and the reason why they need to maintain it with X, Y, Z at home. So when I go through usually a first consult on a client, I'm like, okay, so talk to me. What's going on with your skin? What are you using? And so, I frame it very much of like, yes, I'm going to treat your skin as it is right now in this moment. But if you're not doing the home care, I believe that's about 85% of the results. And I always say it's like working out and, eating cheeseburgers. As great as that sounds, it's not always going to yield the best results. And they really, really need to curate their home care to maximize results so we can really, you know, make their skin the best possible. If they're using the worst products, I say, don't, like, as much as I love for you to come here and spend a lot of money working with me, you really need to be using this. And this is why. And I don't care. Use your La Mer cream if that's really what you desire, but you need, these actives position them in that way. And, you have to really teach them in a way that clients understand. And, there's so much about removing fear of, um, I guess, finances and things like that. So a lot of people put their own financial burdens onto clients. And you have to remember that these clients are buying products somewhere. They're just not buying it from you if you're not selling it to them. So if they're coming to you and they trust you as the expert, they also need to really trust you with a home care routine that's curated and designed by you. And, you just really, it's just practice and, chronic communication with your client about what's going on, why they need this, let's tweak this, let's add that, so on and so forth. So, retail is truly a continuation of the treatment room. And I would say that, education is the pathway to sales. And also statistically, if you sell them a product, the rates that they'll come back and purchase more with you and come back as a client is increased by something like 35 to 45%. There is a pretty strong, I don't know the exact statistic, but it's pretty high. So sometimes I suggest to clients, I'm like, if you sell them a product, the chances they'll come back and see you again are higher. So, that's my opinion on retail. It's an absolute must. And I think that also there's some clients, some companies that all they do is retail and they don't even do services. And we do so much volume in services. It's just a natural pathway.
Okay, I really appreciate that, and I really like that word you use, chronic communication
Hmm.
with your patients, right? It's an ongoing process, and education does definitely contribute towards a higher sale. And how would you go about handling that resistance from clients who would prefer to buy products elsewhere?
So, if it's a money thing, sometimes I will, offer them like a first time purchase, discount just to get them to buy the product. But
Right.
typically, if, the clients are spending in the $200 to $300 range for a treatment, they're going to trust you with what you're doing. And honestly, a lot of the times I educate, I don't push. So, I say that's fine. Keep what you have, but when you run out, this is what you need. And I kind of am like, this is what you need because I know what's best for them. They don't. They're listening
Yeah.
to TikTok trends and Instagram
Yeah.
posts for girls
Yeah.
that are younger than them or have more oil content. And so, what worked for one doesn't always work for all. And that's why I explain, with my many years of experience, I've seen this. This is really going to help you. Giving samples, writing a routine on a card with an AM and PM schedule with all of the
Mm,
samples that I send them home
mm,
with, and really try to encourage them to utilize products. And at the end of the day, it's $150 for most retail products. So,
yeah,
you could also bundle things in. There's so many ideas that you have. And also, we'll talk about memberships in the future. Sometimes, there's discounts associated with memberships. So loyalty
absolutely.
rewards you.
Absolutely. Loyalty does reward you, and really appreciate your answer over there, Rachel, with regards to retail being an extension of the treatment room. Now, moving on to Michelle. Michelle, you approach merges beautiful and aesthetics into functional medicine. Uh, how can practices introduce wellness services like hormone optimization or weight management without overwhelming their aesthetic operations? Over to
Yeah,
you.
I think this is an important question because I think a lot of aesthetic practices would like to incorporate wellness into their practice, but they probably feel very intimidated by the operational side of things. So I think the key is to start small, right? You have to view this is an added layer of care to the services that you're already providing. You're not opening a second business practice, but you're just layering and integrating small things at a time that makes sense for your practice. So you might want to start, for example, with just offering a few peptides that make sense for what you're already doing. Maybe something that's going to help stimulate collagen and elastin. Keep it very simple. And then when that works well, you can layer on the next level of service. So at Body Tonic, we've done really well of just viewing this as like, you know what, we're not just treating patients on the outside, but we want to optimize them internally as well. And so it's just about viewing it as more of a holistic approach. And so when
Mhm.
you view it that way, for example, when a patient wants to, when they care about the way their face looks, they probably care about the way their body looks too. So incorporating GLP-1s sort of just makes sense. But the key is to build slowly and not overwhelm your existing practice by just adding so many things all at once. At Body Tonic, we started with weight loss and that did very well. And so when that did very well, we then incorporated hormone replacement therapy, and then after that, now we started with a few peptides, and after that was done well, we started integrating several more, and now we also do all sorts of different functional medicine as well. So we've become really a full med spa that does full aesthetics and full wellness, but that didn't happen overnight. It's been several years in the making. So it's just about starting slow and doing what you feel makes sense. And obviously making sure that your providers feel educated and ready to take on that approach as well.
Okay. Just a quick note to our audience members. It seems that there is an issue with the chat. So I know we've got a few audience members reaching out to our support over here, mentioning that the chat isn't really working for them. Not sure exactly what's going on over there, but do use the Q&A section, right? To ask your questions. Fire away over there, or else send them to Whitney, our support here, and she will bring it up to us as well. But do use the Q&A section over there. Yeah, and we will make sure the experts um, get your inquiries. Michelle, just to continue on what you were just saying, build slowly, right? So at your practice, you all started with weight loss and then brought in the other things slowly, right? When things are going smooth, it's easy to add on, right? When do you determine when it doesn't work out for you? Say when if you were to start on weight loss, right? Incorporating that, and it doesn't seem to be working out that great for your practice, right? How do you identify when to stop, and how do you pivot after that? Do you have experience on that?
Well, I think that if you GLP-1s, if you do it well, they are really successful. It would be hard to imagine a world where people wouldn't want these medications. But I think first of all, it has to you have to be in alignment with it, right? You want to offer a service that you feel passionate about, that you feel is actually going to benefit the client. You certainly never want to add on a service just for the sake of revenue. And I think that if you are educated and you have your process is streamlined, I think if you have good marketing behind it. I mean, if you've exhausted all options, of course, there is a time to say to throw in the towel. But I think if you really take your time, you're passionate about it, you educate your clients, you get the right support staff, you work with the right pharmacies, and you do things well, I see very little reason to just give up, you know?
Were there any treatments from your operations that you had to call, like, drop in the towel?
We have not, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We have not. I think it's been really successful. Like I said, just doing it little by little, and I think just also
Mm.
positioning yourself as the expert, having great online education, and never pushing it on clients. You're not looking. You're just you just need the right clients. You don't need everybody to sign up for these services. And so when you put a lot of education, a lot of thought and effort into how you're going to approach it, then it usually, the right clients end up coming to you and it works.
Okay. And we have a question from Robin here for Michelle. Which functional medicine program makes the most sense to enroll in for providers wanting to incorporate this into the practice? So,
So it depends on your patient population and what they're wanting, right? So if you have patients that are concerned about they have body composition struggles, then that makes sense. But if you have patients that are really looking into like biohacking, optimizing longevity, you might want to start with offering peptides.
mm,
They're very safe and patients really love them. They get really good results from them. And they feel like your patients are now feeling like you are deepening the value of their relationship because you're just not focusing on the external rejuvenation, but now you're working on the internal optimization. So it really depends on the kind of clients that you have. But I think peptides and GLP-1s are both really good.
okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Michelle. Moving back to Rachel. Rachel, you built a reputation for blending advanced treatments with a luxury touch. What are some of your most successful add-on or complementary services that have increased both client satisfaction and revenue?
I think what's interesting about that question is you can offer anything as an add-on, and it could be luxury, but it's all about in the execution. So, even if you just decide to add water with, infused lemon or whatever, oranges or, you can offer somebody a water, but it's how you offer the water because luxury isn't always something that's tangible in an item. It's how it's presented and how it's applied and the whole vibe that goes along with it. So I could sit here and rattle off 10,000 things that are lucrative add-ons, but I think that it's not exactly what it is, it's how it is. Something like, water. Like, what's the difference between first class, how they serve water, and coach? And they're still serving water in a cup, right? But, is it on a tray? Does it have a little napkin underneath it? How are you handing it to them? Are you doing it for them? So I mean, I've always included LED into my treatments, even from way back in the day when it really first started coming out. I never wanted to make that an upcharge. I always included, so I always tried to strive for something that was like inclusive luxury, so you can demand a higher price point, and you're not nitpicking for like, oh, this is an add-on, oh, extractions are an add-on, oh, this mask is an add-on. It's if you kind of stack and do multi combinational therapies, you can add a higher price point, make it more a luxury item, but back to the same point, what do the sheets look like? What does a room smell like? When we have clients come in, we will escort them to the room, and when we escort them to the room, we give them a mini tour. Even if they've been here, we're like, okay, where, if it's a new client, over here you have our snack station, and over here you have the first bathroom on the first floor. And now I'm going to bring you upstairs, and this is the second floor. And the second floor is, we do all aesthetics up here, and there's a quiet waiting room. There's also a bathroom here as well. And then you're going to be on the third floor, and we're going to do a massage up here. And this is our little massage annex up here. We do 2 aesthetic rooms and we have 2 massage rooms, and there's a bathroom here as well. There's snacks and water over here. So, oh, this is your first time here. Oh, wonderful. So nice to meet you. And you just start this conversation and you're back to storytelling with my first thing because I feel like so many people forget to storytell. If I'm giving the tour, and doing the luxury, you know, I give them my whole story. Yeah, we're going on our 18th year here. I opened up this place right when the housing crisis in 2008 happened, and that was a kind of wild time. And this building is actually a really old building. It's from and I give them this whole story, and now they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so included. I feel so special. I mean, I could sit here and say, oh my God, collagen masks are so great, but everyone's got a collagen mask. LED is so great. Everyone's doing that. So how do you elevate it? It's in the execution of how you treat everything. Are the sheets beautiful? Does the room smell nice? It's like sometimes you're giving them something by giving them nothing at all and simply just including something and making the price up. It's kind of like the same kind of mentality of is like I can charge a credit card fee or I can just include it into my prices and look like the most amazing person that doesn't charge people credit card fees. It's like how do you want it to be perceived? So, I just think that, combining things together, and giving them little extra things, like the water with the lemon or, hot towels, heated mitts, things that really cost nothing but add so much value that the client you want it to be so great that the client's like, why would I go anywhere else? I get the heated mitts. They give me the LED. I love the water. They have all those gluten-free snacks. And, I can bring my daughter there. Like that's the mentality of a spender, of a client, you know? And I think that, when you just really come at it from a place of what is luxury to you? What's the difference between a not so nice spa and a high-end luxury spa? They give you the wrap, they give you the robes, right? They give you the locker room. We're not that kind of spa, so we have to think outside of what does luxury mean to us? It's the nice wraps without the Velcro. It's the headband that hasn't been washed 1,000 times and doesn't Velcro anymore. Like those are all little things that you have to start thinking about um, to make, the bed warmers, everything's nice and cozy. We give them little cozy socks to put on in the wintertime when it's really cold out. Those are added luxuries that add value without really adding value. So that's my whole spiel on, it's about you can offer anything in the world, but if you're not making it luxurious and you're not making it profitable. So find your shining definition. And I'll always say this, and I always say this in team meetings, customer service is so crappy, sorry, so crappy in the world that we live in today that by giving somebody and telling them the story makes them feel included. Giving them excellent customer service. They're like, just like when you hang up the phone with somebody and they gave you excellent customer service, you're like, wow, I want to do service. I want to do business with that person. That was such a pleasant experience. And it's so easy to do. It just takes a little bit of effort and it takes being super kind and helpful and having a really positive attitude. And people think that you're like, oh my, the best place on earth, and you're just trying to be super friendly and super kind and taking care of them. And let me take your jacket, let me hang it up, you know, and just asking them questions. Or have you been here before? Oh, fabulous. I'm so welcome back. It's silly free things that that get the clients coming back, not necessarily the add-ons, but I mean, collagen mask, oxygen add-on, radio frequency, microneedling, you can add all of these things on, dermaplaning. I mean, I can rattle off forever, but it's really the execution of all said things.
Love it. Love it. It's in the execution. And what I'm understanding here is the way you do it, right? It's the how you are doing it, because everyone can be, given the same treatment, but the way you do it might
Hmm.
differ. And that might, that perceived value, what I'm
Hmm.
understanding is
Yeah,
really where luxury comes in, right?
correct.
Um, I would also like to know, Rachel, just on the flip side of things, what wouldn't luxury look like if it's done wrong?
I think that luxury done wrong is all in the aesthetic of it. So maybe it's too loud, it's too bright, it's too much of a theme, colors are off. Sometimes, it's in the lighting and, to me, luxury is typically understated. And when you're too loud, like I've seen some spas that, have like, very bright colors and you want to kind of tone that down. Also, things that are done wrong are, the poor infrastructure. Oh, you got to go down the hallway to go to the bathroom. Not always the greatest thing, right? That's not super luxurious if they have to walk past 12 offices to get to the bathroom. It's the reality for most estheticians, but that isn't what somebody would consider luxury. So, sorry to the people that have that, but it's the inclusivity and it's the privacy that you bring along with it. That's really important to a lot of people. And I think that just the lack of infrastructure, not having little like to-go bags with like we used to make, for instance, new client welcome bags, right? So every client would go home with a bag and we'd throw in some samples in there and we would have a card of for the first 3 months. So we want them to come back once a month for 3 months, and we have it set up as so. So the first little coupon is 10% off your, or 50, it was like 20% off of your next appointment if it's done within next month. And then the appointment after that is like a free brow wax and a brow shaping and a brow tint, just to come in for free. And then the other third one was 20% off one retail item. So,
Right.
and you have to use it within the month. So it's sending them home with something. I feel like a lot of people don't do that, so branded things, the cards that we send them home with the AM and the PM directions has our brand on it, has our phone number. We follow up with the clients, we message them. That's all in the, the luxury. How's your skin doing? Just checking on you. Hope everything looks good. If you have any questions, I'm here to help you. The level of customer service. Think about a high-end hotel.
Yeah.
They call you up. How's the room? Is everything good? Can I get you more water? Do you need ice? Everything okay? Fabulous. Have a great night. Do you want turn down service? These are the things to think about. So,
Fantastic. Yeah, customer service can be understated. And if you are in a position where, as Rachel said, the bathroom is not at the most convenient location, perhaps it's the way you address that situation that can change, right? Like the creativity with which you address that situation and what you do to make it as luxurious as possible, because that perceived value is definitely there. With that being said, I have good news for our audience members. It seems Whitney has managed to get the chat back online. I would like to take a little quick pulse check of how people are feeling right now. So, which of these revenue strategies feel most doable for your practice right now? Retail, add-ons, or partnerships? I'm going to drop that question in the chat as well. And let's see what everyone is feeling right now. Would love to hear these answers, because as we move along, we are looking to cover a little bit of everything on this, and perhaps our panelists will be able to more specialize to your needs. So as our audience members answer that question, I'm going to move on to Michelle. Michelle?
Hi.
Yes. So you offer both medical and aesthetic treatments. So what are some of the most effective complementary services and combinations you've seen that enhance patient results and increase practice revenue?
Yeah, so going back to treating the patient holistically, there are a lot of different things you can do to increase the patient's happiness, but the revenue for the practice as well. So something that comes to mind is GLP-1 therapy along with a biostimulator such as Sculptra or hyperdilute radius. So with GLP-1s, patients are losing weight, and particularly those that are losing more than 30% of their body mass. It tends to take a toll on your face, and as we all know, volume and fat make your face look younger. And so when you lose a lot of weight, it can give you that deflated look. And combining that along with Sculptra hyperdilute radius, which is going to stimulate collagen and provide extra volume to your face, is going to make you look younger. Galderma is actually doing a clinical trial right now, specifically with their Sculptra product and patients that are on GLP-1 therapy, because we are finding that those two combinations work really well together. Similarly, patients that are on GLP-1s, just adding filler and restoring that volume really work well together. And we're doing that at Body Tonic, and I think that that's a really good pairing. Something else that comes to mind is doing, for example, if you offer laser services in your aesthetic practice, maybe just offering a few peptides that will help that patient. So for example, GHKCU is a copper peptide that helps stimulate collagen elastin, and then BPC 157 along with TB 500 is a stack of peptides that decrease inflammation and help speed up recovery time. So if you're having a laser that's going to burn your face and create thermal injury, you're going to have that patient heal, recover faster. The patient is going to be less red quicker, and they're going to get a better result. So that is a win for your patient, and that is a win for your practice. Also, when you think about the patient population in aesthetics, we see mostly perimenopausal and menopausal women. So that's where that opportunity comes in with hormones. Now, I do want to emphasize hormone replacement therapy is extremely complex. It's not something that you just want to offer for the sake of making money. It takes a long time to sort of become an expert and do it well. And you want to do it well because you want to do it right by your patient. But patients are coming in because they're aging, right? And so that affects the way they look, and that affects the way they feel. When you lose collagen and elastin, one of the main reasons you do that is because you lose estrogen. So maybe tying into your consultation questions about hormones, or just even asking them as you're assessing them, like, hey, you talk about, oh, they're like, oh, why do I look so old? You're like, okay, well, have you considered your hormones are also playing a role? And so it gives a really good opportunity to actually help your patient, because it's going to help the aesthetic outcome, but it's also going to make them feel better. So they really do go hand in hand. You just have to know how to position yourself, and you have to get to know your patient, get them to trust you. And these combination therapies are going to increase the per visit value of the visit, but it's also going to deepen the relationship with the client. It's going to build trust, and it's going to keep that patient with you for a longer period of time, for sure.
I mean, I was just remembering a podcast session that I did very recently with Dr. Shinobe Aguilera. You might
Mhm.
be aware of him. And
Love him.
we were talking about breaking the regenerative plateau. And he was also just talking about how you can amplify results with using PRMs, right? Um,
Yes.
yes, because mixing those two can amplify results, as well as he mentioned a very interesting thing, I think, for business practice owners, is that with one box of PRMs, you can look up to generate around 10 to 16,000 in revenue when integrated into the practice. So as you mentioned, increasing that patient revenue, per visit is definitely there. But of course, that also amplifies all the results, right?
Yeah.
So
We're
yeah,
we're definitely going into the wave of regenerative aesthetics. People are staying away from things that are fake. Like, instead of making yourself look younger, why not actually reverse aging, right? So,
actually be
the
younger.
right, the peptides and all of that, all the regenerative stuff is what people want, because they are actually aging in reverse, which is
Yeah,
essentially what we all want to do.
exactly. Fantastic. So before we move on, I would like to take this moment to share a message from our sponsors of this event. So we've got a gift from Equa Marketing, the sponsor of tonight's event here for everyone. So it's a complimentary one-on-one marketing strategy meeting. Here's the question that Equa is looking to answer for you. When someone in your city searches Botox near me, Morpheus 8 cost, or lip filler before and after, are you the practice that gets found, trusted, and chosen? Patient demand today is treatment specific, and AI driven results are reshuffling who shows up first, which is why your growth now hinges on three things working together: be found, be trusted, and be chosen. In your session, an Equat strategist will do a live audit of your market position and give you a treatment level plan to generate more qualifiable results and consults for injectables, lasers, and body contouring, whatever you specialize in, right? So it's immediately actionable, no fluff, And if growth is on your radar for this year, this 45-minute strategy session will be the best use of your time. Scan the QR code or hit the link in the chat or visit www.businessofesthetics.org/MSM. It takes under a minute to reserve. We limit spots because we do real pre-work for each audit. So as well as it's a no obligation. Take the plan, use it with us, use it with your team or in-house. Go ahead and book your session now. So the next time patients search for those treatments, they find you. So the link is being dropped in the chat box below. And while that is happening, go ahead and schedule your complimentary marketing strategy meeting. Oh, we have yeah. So with regards to the question that I asked before, we have Robin with the saying that add-ons and partnerships, we could do better with the details in offering luxury as well. And then I think that's fantastic. We'll be talking a little bit more on partnerships in a moment. So stay tuned for that. Here we go. Now moving back to Rachel, many practices struggle to create consistent income streams. How has Blue Water Spa approached memberships or recurring programs to drive predictable revenue and client loyalty?
So, I think that, it's important to know your metrics and know when you're slow and when you're very busy, and understanding that you have to create, like, there's a season for everything, for instance. So I look at like September, October, and they're historically some of the slowest months in my business. And then we head into November, December, January, February, and those tend to be very, very busy times because January, February, everyone's coming in and redeeming their gift cards. And we sell a lot of gift cards. So I have so many built-in promotions that we know that we're going to do. We've already been working on Black Friday since August, deciding what we're going to do and looking at the metrics of which gift card sold better. So, just getting rid of dollar amounts that we do during, Black Friday. So we'll do something like a $300 gift card for $250. And those sold more so than the higher price points or the lower price points. We did the most of that. So we know that we're going to put that at the very top. Looking at the metrics of what sold the most, we're going to go back to that and maybe enhance it or tweak it a little bit. We have like this one September promotion, knowing that it's low. We run this, I don't want to say cheap because it's a nice product, but it's a mini style facial. And this allows clients that really can't afford some of that more high-end treatments to try other stuff at a lower price point, right? So one year we did a $149 facial or a $139 facial, I think it was. And we sold something like $30,000 worth of them in a week. So we did a whole promo for the entire week, like you're pre-selling a service. And I think that this is where a lot of people go wrong, right? So just my own little tactic in sales is you're pre-selling a service. So 1 week we're selling this thing and you have up until, I don't know, 2 months to redeem it. And otherwise it reverts back to the dollar amount and you can use that whenever you like. But this is the promo and it's going on for 2 months. There's 1 week to buy, 5 days left. The next day, there's 4 days left to buy the promotion, 1 day left, so on and so forth. And it just incentivizes people to buy. Because at the end of the day, it's harder to get somebody to pick up the phone and book the appointment. It's easier to get them to just buy now. So people really, really enjoy a buy now. So as far as, doing promotions, knowing your metrics, knowing, when your slow months are, creating income and revenue streams around that because you're slow. You want to get people in the door, you want to make money. And then now, because September is leading up until Black Friday, now you're teasing out Black Friday. You're talking, because they're coming in for the next 2 months. So October, November, oh, Black Friday's coming up and Christmas. And then you get them into the swing of things. And it's kind of recapturing old clients you haven't seen in a while. But honestly, one of the best ways to create predictable income is through memberships, of course. Memberships that come with incentives like, every month it's an auto charge of a certain amount. You're entitled to this. You're entitled to discounts off of, additional services. So they want to add a dermaplaning and they're going to get a 15% off of that if they're a member. So there's like member perks, there's priority bookings and, schedules that we offer. But it's like all those like pre-built-in perks are really, really important. And of course they get a discount on retail. But I mean, Mother's Day, you can always, predict that you're going to sell gift cards. And if you guys don't sell gift cards, it's something I highly recommend doing because um, you're pre-selling something and people come in for it. And most often when people have a gift card, they're usually gifted or they bought it for themselves. And that's like that girl math, right? We all know about girl math, right? So they're like, oh, it's free. I already paid for it. So let me get an extra add-on, right? And so now they're adding things on and, they sometimes like then they'll buy products. So it's if they've already spent the money however long ago, they're more incentivized to add more things on. So really knowing your metrics, creating tiered levels of membership are really important. Like we have a glow up membership, and then we have a more advanced skin treatment. And, this includes a lot of perks, like they get a free massage on their birthday and, like I said, priority booking, discounts on other services, and they get to choose what they want as their main anti-aging component, whether it's microneedling or radio frequency treatments or microcurrent or the jet peel, which is one of our offerings. So, I think that what's interesting is I have one business that's been in business for almost 18 years. And then I have another business that I just opened up a year and a half ago. So I don't have all the metrics for the new company. And also the new company is in a seasonal location in the Hamptons. And, it's hard to, this actually stumped me for a little bit because I have 18 years worth of metrics over here and I have, a year and a half. So it's very hard to decide um, what we're going to do, considering that maybe we didn't sell nearly as many gift cards as I wanted to because we're still a new youthful company, and we don't have all of the data to know where to push, when to, some businesses close in my neighborhood for the season, like a lot of them do. I'm not doing that. So I'm trying to like weather through the seasonality. It's like like my business is in the Hamptons is a lot like opening a business in Cape Cod. Okay, or not Cape Cod, let's say like Nantucket, right? It's like super seasonal, right? So, and then I think it's really also important to frame all of your memberships as, instead of like a discount, it's more like this is your commitment to transformation and this is what we're going to do together. We're going to work on this together. And this is now you're going to, get discounts accordingly, so you're coming in anyway, right? And it incentivizes them to, come in regularly. Then we allow them to give it to friends if they can't make it that month. So we're very flexible on how we do that. And I think that that's also another component too, is being flexible. Like, people that have a lot of, rigidness in their business, it's, clients are like, I don't know, it sounds complicated. I don't want to deal with it, so I think being very fluid and being very flexible is what people want, provided they're not, buying the membership and every single member of their family is coming in every single month. And then, like you have 20 people, obviously we don't allow that. There are limitations, but being flexible, I think, is really important in business.
Fantastic. I love that, Rachel. And for our practice owners listening in, Rachel just mentioned a ton of valuable insight. I mean, uh, I just did a little bit of that math, when you said you did 30,000 in revenue selling a 139 ticket item, right? So, and that was within a week. So you must have sold around 200 plus
Yep.
within that week. And
Yep.
to get to that number, business owners might be thinking, how? Well, Rachel just laid it out perfectly, like thinking about all those different variables, knowing your seasonality, being flexible, but knowing all that and actually proactively acting on it, is the differentiator from doing those numbers and not?
Right.
Perhaps.
Like for instance, you look at something like Black Friday. Like if you guys haven't figured out what you're doing for Black Friday, you're already too late. You know, having your shopping cart, because people want to buy now. And then you start the promotion the week before, like Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, you start promoting it on Monday. Because if you wait until Thursday, they've already spent all of the money that they've squirreled away on other things that their promotions, were flooding their email with. You need to have an email game plan. You need to have it all set up on your email marketing system, right? Have it all planned out, so it's automated, like learn to use automations as your friend, decide what your promotions are going to do, create your cart on Shopify or Stripe or whatever it is that you do. People create your creatives, start pushing them out now. And, just really, I mean, Black Friday is huge. And if you're not on
Yeah.
it, you got to get on it,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Rachel.
Sure.
Now, let us move back to Michelle. Michelle, peptides are rapidly becoming one of the most transformative tools in modern aesthetics. You touched on it briefly before. But for our providers looking to enter this space, where should they start and how can peptides be integrated in a way that elevates both patient outcomes and practice growth? Let's get a little bit more into the details, perhaps.
Sure. So if you are looking to integrate peptides into your aesthetic business, I think the most important thing is starting with a 503A compounding pharmacy. So these pharmacies are regulated by the FDA and by the State Board of Pharmacy. So they're ensuring sterility, potency of your product. And so what it says on the label, you can assure that that is what your patient is getting. So this is obviously very important from a safety standpoint, but it's also really important to protect your license and your reputation as a provider. So no research peptides, no black market peptides. Find a really good pharmacy that you can trust so that you can trust them and then your patients can trust you. I also think getting very educated with peptides is very important. So you might want to join like the International Peptide Society. They have a lot of courses and certifications that you can take to really take an in-depth knowledge on it, because this is not something that we study in, whether you're a doctor or a nurse practitioner, this is not something that you're getting at you're not getting a course on this, right? It really takes a lot of self-motivation and self-learning to learn peptides. When I didn't even know I knew what a peptide was, but I was like, wait, you inject these things? Like there were so many things that I didn't know about them when I was first introduced to them. And so there's a little bit of a steep learning curve. And I think it's important to become very educated as well if it's something that you're wanting to integrate. And also just starting slow. Like, for example, let's say you're a plastic surgeon, right? And you're thinking, oh, I want to get into this peptide trend. What do I do? There's certain peptides that you can combine that help a patient with surgery, right? Like the GHKCU, BPC-157. Similarly to the ones that I told you about the laser, you can create like a surgical recovery peptide stack, because that would be what would make sense for your practice. And you can do something like that. Or for example, I don't know, maybe you have a patient population demographic where patients are really, really old and they have trouble sleeping and anxiety is more of their issue. And so there's really a peptide for everything. And so there's different ways that you can angle it. But I think coming out with a full menu of peptides when you haven't really tested the water and done it little by little is a little bit of a red flag. So that's how I would approach it. I would just start slow, do something that makes sense, and then make sure that you're sourcing properly and getting educated.
Love that. Definitely source it with state-regulated pharmacies, as well as educate yourself from certified institutions. Now, why do you think peptides are resonating so strongly with both providers and patients right now?
They're the future of medicine. I am convinced of it. The reason why is, first of all, they're extremely safe. They have very, very few side effects. There's a few contraindications, of course, with some peptides. It's not like blanket statement, you can just give everybody peptides, but they're generally very, very well tolerated. What essentially they are short chains of amino acids that act as like tiny messengers that tell your body to do something. So they really kind of help you function better. Like I'll just give you an example of some peptides. So there's some peptides that are called growth hormone releasing peptides. And what they do is they stimulate your pituitary gland to release more growth hormone, right? And so when you were in your 20s, for example, right, your pituitary gland had a consistent pulsation of this growth hormone. And as you get older, that pulse becomes less frequent and maybe less strong. So when you put in a peptide, that little messenger is signaling your pituitary gland, stimulate more growth hormone, stimulate um, and well, stimulate more growth hormone. And when you stimulate more growth hormone, you have all these anti-aging benefits to it that make you feel better, look better. So many, help preserve muscle mass. They're they each of them provide such a vast amount of benefits. And I think functional medicine is really just taking off. People are starting to really want to know the why behind things are happening. People are wanting to have their bodies function better. And so it's doing that in a safe way where you're just not adding like a pharmaceutical drug, right? We're trying to figure out the why behind why things are happening and really trying to work on that and fixing it versus just treating the symptom. So that's part of the reason why I think they're so popular, and I feel like they're not going to go anywhere.
Okay. With that being said, what do you think like would be a simple starter protocol or peptide product that's low risk but high impact?
That's a great question. So I think particularly in aesthetics, I would say the GHKCU copper peptide is really great because if you offer a hair rejuvenation, it's great for your hair, it's great for your skin, it's great for skin tightening, it helps stimulate collagen and elastin. It's kind of like, it's part of like this glow stack of peptides that help regenerate the tissue. So I think it just blends well with any aesthetic patient that you have. So that's kind of like a no-brainer to bring onto your practice for sure.
And how are you handling that skepticism from clients unfamiliar with peptide therapy? Are you
Yeah. So I think it's all about the consult, right? Really educating your clients and showing them, explaining to them the safety, the efficacy, where you're sourcing it from. Once a lot of patients, they do their homework, right? They're already on TikTok, on Instagram, they already kind of know what they want, or they have a lot of questions lined up for you. So it's about when they come in with their concerns, really kind of enforcing that you understand the peptide very well, understanding the mechanism of action, going through contraindications, getting a thorough medical history. That's how you build trust with the client. And once they see that, they usually respect you as the medical provider that you are giving them a solution to their problem.
right? Fantastic. Thank you very much for that very comprehensive overview of peptides, Michelle. With that being said, I would like to ask our audience if you had to test one new wellness offering this quarter, what would it be? I would like to see your responses in the chat. And here we go. Yeah. Um, or Brent Walker had shared a message saying, "Thank you very much. Very informative. Really appreciate that comment, Brent. Uh, that's what we're here for." Now, with that being said, we are approaching the end of the session almost. I would like to give both of y'all a moment to share a key takeaway that our audience can take with regards to tonight's session. Let's start with you, Rachel. What do you think would be the biggest key takeaway our audience can have?
I think the biggest key takeaway from me is what I learned through Michelle, and the whole biohacking of the body and how it really is the new generation. For instance, I remember when Botox first came out, and when that happened, it was so taboo, and everyone was like, I'll never do that. That sounds terrible. And now there's 1,001 ways to utilize Botox in your body for the better. And I think that, we are just on the cusp between AI and biohacking. They're saying in the next 10 years, we're going to be able to stop aging completely. And we're not completely,
Amazing.
pretty close to it, right? And we're going to be living in this, age of, extended, longevity. And, it's just an incredible time to be alive and an incredible time to be in this industry because we are just, I mean, I just think about had I been born my mother's generation, my job really wouldn't have existed. I mean, a licensed esthetician wasn't even a New York State license until I think 19 something like 89 or something. So, I mean, we're talking about an entire field that has just really started. And I remember 20 years ago, they said, oh, this is going to be $1 trillion business. And you're like, okay, now it is. And it's just, and we're all a part of it. And it's just, and being in this industry, Michelle, for so long, like I have, it's crazy to see how much it's changed. And that's my biggest takeaway is like, and what it's going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, being like, I remember we used to microdermabrasion with crystals, and they would dust everywhere. And, that's going to be 40, 50 years from now. So just really impressive and just very exciting.
Fantastic. Just I remembered with my conversation with even Dr. Shinobe on the podcast, he was mentioning 80 is the new middle age.
Oh my
Uh,
God. Imagine.
yeah, absolutely. Love it. So, Michelle, what do you think would be a key takeaway for our audience?
Oh, I'm so excited that we're having this conversation and that there's just such a strong wave towards functional medicine because I really do think it's the future and it's so exciting. And I think the key takeaway really is seeing functional medicine and things in the wellness space really as deepening the value of your patients and thinking of it more of as an expansion of your existing business, not just a separate business because it's all connected, right? And if anyone in the audience has like any questions about anything we talked about, I'm happy. Drop your email below. I'm happy to message you. I'm happy to help answer any questions if this is something that you're wanting to integrate into your space because I know it could feel a little bit overwhelming, but I think it's really exciting. And I just want to say that patients are happy. Patients want this stuff. Don't be scared. Like the most of our practice is peri and menopausal women, okay? Like they want their hormones fixed. They want to not just they don't want just the wrinkles gone. They want it all. And just own in as a provider. Remember when you're as a medical, I feel like in aesthetics a lot of patients kind of dictate the room. They'll come in and be like, I want a few units of Botox, or I want a little bit of lip filler. You are the provider. Do your assessment, diagnose, plan, and treat. Patients are going to trust you when you treat them in that manner, and they're going to allow you to take care of not just their face, but their hormones and their wellness. And it'll be an investment in their longevity, and it'll be a positive thing for your practice as well.
Fantastic. And with that being said, Michelle, it seems like there are some people who are really interested in peptides, one of them being Rachel herself. So definitely, as well as there's Iris Taylor who says, whatever Michelle tells me to do, I will do. So
Very cute.
definitely you have some people to connect with Michelle, perhaps. Um, and with that being said, we have approached the end of our session here. Um, just going to share my slide real quickly. So, with that being said, this has truly been a powerful discussion. Rachel, Michelle, thank you so much for sharing generously. And to our audience member, a last reminder, claim your complimentary eco marketing strategy meeting. If people in your city are searching for injectables, lasers, or body contouring, or what treatments you offer, perhaps even peptides, right? Make sure you are the one they find, trust, and choose. So you'll find the link in the chat one last time. Grab your spot tonight before it's gone. We'd also be grateful if you could take 30 seconds to fill out that feedback survey that's going to pop out on a new tab when you exit this event. It would help us create even better events for you in the future. And panelists, I ask you to hang back just for a moment after we end the broadcast. And with that being said, on behalf of the Business of Aesthetics team, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. I'm Don Adisha. We'll see you in the next panel. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and keep succeeding. Thank you, everyone.